Hello, and thank you for listening to Silent Seniors No More. This episode is If You Can't Finish the Course, You Can't Play. Before we start, a quick note. I'm not an attorney, and I'm not giving legal advice. This podcast simply shares real experiences, public documents, and the Florida statutes that affect residents living in mobile home parks. The goal of Silent Seniors No More is to help people understand what is happening in their communities and encourage them to ask questions. For legal advice, please always speak to a qualified attorney. This week, Silent Seniors No More was scheduled to move in a different direction. But sometimes something happens inside a senior community that is just too important to wait. Over the past several days, residents at Spanish Lakes Golf Village have raised serious concerns involving access to the golf course. Mobility issues, limitations for elderly residents, and what witnesses describe as a confrontational interaction involving park management. For many people listening, this is not just about golf. It's about aging with dignity. It's about whether seniors who physically cannot do what they once could are still treated with patience, respect, and compassion inside the community that they pay to live in. So today, we are adding to the regular episode scheduled for a special report. Because when elderly residents begin feeling excluded from community life due to physical limitation, the conversation can't wait. There's a new concern being raised at Spanish Lakes Golf Village, and this one may sound small to some people at first, until you stop and think about who lives here. Residents are now reporting that golfers are being told that they can only play if they can complete all 9 holes. Not part of the course, not the loop, not a shortened version for seniors with physical limitations, but all 9 holes. And at the same time, residents say golf carts are no longer allowed alongside portions of the course where people who physically cannot walk long distances. Now think about it for a second. This is a 55 plus community. Many residents are in their 70s, 80s, and beyond. Some have bad knees, some have heart conditions, some are recovering from surgeries, some simply can't physically walk an entire 9 hole golf course anymore, but they still want to participate. They still want exercise. They still want social interaction. They still want dignity. And now the message some residents feel they are hearing is, if you can't do it at all, then you can't do any of it. This episode is not really about golf. It's about access. It's about inclusion. It's about whether aging residents are slowly being pushed out of the very amenities they continue paying for every single month through their lot rent. Because, let's be honest, people do not move into communities like Spanish Lakes Golf Village expecting Olympic level physical demands. These communities advertise lifestyle, community, recreation, senior living, activities, accessibility, not use it exactly how we say or don't use it at all. And the residents are beginning to ask, where does reasonable accommodation end and unnecessary restriction begin? Here's something every person listening already understands. Aging changes people physically, but losing mobility should not mean losing community. For many seniors, walking the loop instead of the all 9 holes may be the difference between staying active, staying social, and staying mentally healthy, or sitting around isolated at home. That matters. Especially in senior communities where loneliness and depression are already major issues nationwide. Sometimes the activity itself is not the most important part. Sometimes it's the routine, the friendships, the feeling of still belonging. And when rules suddenly become more restrictive instead of more accommodating, people will notice. The frustration many residents are experiencing is simple. We pay a lot rent every month for amenities we are now being restricted from using. And that frustration grows when residents feel the restrictions disproportionately affect older or physically limited people. Because for the residents' perspective, this does not feel like improving recreation. It feels like narrowing access. And once again, people are asking, why does it always seem harder for seniors instead of easier? Why are accommodations shrinking instead of growing? Why do residents consistently feel like they have to fight just to participate in community life? What is also upsetting, residents are not simply the policy themselves, but reportedly how it's delivered. According to the residents present, park manager Sam Viato did not approach the golfers in a calm conversational manner. Residents described the interaction as aggressive and confrontational, and that matters because when you're dealing with senior citizens, many of whom already feel intimidated speaking up, the tone of the interaction may affect people just as much as the policy itself. Residents say these are not disruptive individuals. They were elderly residents simply trying to enjoy part of the golf course in a way that their physical condition allows. And instead of feeling respected, they reportedly felt embarrassed and confronted. That creates something dangerous inside a retirement community: fear of participation, fear of asking questions, fear of using amenities incorrectly, fear of being publicly corrected or challenged. And once residents began feeling uncomfortable simply trying to participate in community life, the community itself starts changing, not because of age, but because of atmosphere. Now, let's be very careful here. Using the term elder abuse is serious, and there are legal definitions attached to that phrase. But residents absolutely have the right to discuss whether policies are becoming harmful, exclusionary, or insensitive toward aging individuals, especially when decisions affect mobility, recreation, social access, and quality of life. Because when policies repeatedly impact elderly residents who already face physical limitations, people begin asking hard questions. And management should want these questions answered transparently, not defensively. This is also why residents keep saying it's not just about one issue anymore. It's about kitchen restrictions, clubhouse concerns, surveillance complaints, activity limitations, selective enforcement claims, and now questions involving golf access. Individually, each issue may sound minor, but collectively, residents say it creates a feeling that senior citizens are gradually losing control over their own community experience. And perception matters, especially in a retirement community. At the end of the day, most residents are not asking for special treatment. They're asking for reasonable participation. If an 82-year-old resident can comfortably play 3 or 4 holes safely, why should that be discouraged? If a resident needs limited golf cart access because walking long distances is physically difficult, shouldn't a senior community try to work with them instead of against them? Those are fair questions, and they deserve thoughtful answers. Because communities should adapt to aging residents, not punish them for aging. And there is a difference between managing a community and managing seniors with compassion. This is Silent Seniors No More. And if you have questions, observations, or concerns happening in your community, leave them in the comments for me to review. because your voice may help someone else realize that they are not alone.